Trust the process. What does that really mean? Oftentimes we hear that, not just in art, but in life, right? Like, how do you develop that deeper trust within yourself? In art, in our expressions, and especially if trust has been broken ever, right? There's, it's hard to reclaim that. So what I was getting in this intuitive hit this week, it's all about the return is what I want to talk about. When we're returning to ourselves, after a big blow up or an incident that was way out of our control and it like kind of crushed us. Well, the thing is, we can rise out of that. Can always return again is the point. I'm Natalie D'Adamio. I'm a mixed media artist, intuitive guiding channel, soulful creator, and lover of all expressions, color, and just tapping into that intuitive abstraction, the stuff that's beyond. I'm going to be going through this box that I found in the studio and seeing what I can like salvage and kind of bring back to life. I will be reconstituting some of this work that's been abandoned for like probably over a year. Let's get started. Alright, so here's a box of things. What's in the box? I don't know. So I have a really childlike side. I don't always like share that forward because like I have a conflict internally, like how does it fit into the artwork? But I also don't leave it alone either, so that's what you see on top. This is an older box of things, so it's probably a year old or so. I haven't looked through it. Right now I'm just looking for something that we can like return to and reconstitute. I'm sure there's something in here. Kind of like that's just silly. But like I was work a lot of my emotional stuff out, allowing it to be whatever it wants to be. Some things remind me of other things. I love art and creativity because you don't really have to say it in order to say it, but if you want to say it, you can. So people think about vulnerability. You don't have to share your like deepest, darkest secret, because who wants to do that? But you can talk about the points that are like harder or more challenging, and maybe like I'm insecure about this side if I'm honest. But I like love it, so it's hard when you like love an aspect of yourself and like you discard it within yourself. There's many things that happen in not just our art and creative practice, but our lives where we do that. We do that with each other all the time, and we do that with ourselves even more. So what does it mean to really return to ourselves? Not just and our artwork. Okay, look, here's a pile that I think we're probably going to be able to work with. It's a bunch of work that's been abandoned. Let's just look through it and see what's going on. And we'll pull out ones that maybe we could start working on. My process is very cyclic of nature. And I'll make a lot of things, but I don't always like remember until I return to it, right? And that's a good testament to like, we don't always remember ourselves until we return to it. Like, a deeper aspect, or we shed a layer. There's some interesting things going on here. So this is just 9 by 12 paper, and then layers of paper and paint. See, this one's like less further along. I'm gonna probably pull out these ones that are like more layered This is the thing about, at one point maybe I thought this was like good, and I still like what's going on here. I like this mark, and there's these like cool lines and textures. The coloration is nice, but like now looking at it again, it's kind of, this looks kind of like it has no place. But this is like why it's always good to be working, because over time you're gonna be able to define these things for yourself and then redefine them. This one has like a lot of nice, interesting variety, but it's kind of underdeveloped. But I think, I don't know, I don't have the date on these. This was a while ago, probably even a couple of years. But there's a good point in that. I have this pile here, and I could only maybe do this from that place at the time. But now I have like more knowledge from working longer and facing a lot of fears. Ooh, I like this one, even though like you would maybe consider it too disparaging, like too many disparate parts where it's not like connecting. But there's some interesting things going on in these scratches and white lines and that dark mark, and then this is pretty cool. And the coloration is nice, but that's one of the things is like, it was a moment and an exploration. But you could see, and this one is probably was trying to be the most further along, but I still want to integrate this more. Ooh, that one's really kind of not doing it. That doesn't do much for me at all. See, that's the thing, like looking through these. Ooh, this coloration's nice, and there's a lot of interesting things going on. So it's just like learning how to assess them as we return to the marks. I'm gonna pull out some here. I'll put this one in here. Some that I might want to think about longer, so I won't work on them. So 6 is good for now. There's a lot here. Just gonna take these 6, and they're all at various states, like I said, and I'm gonna rework them. So this is about returning to the work after you have abandoned it for like over a year. And it's like a commentary about returning to ourselves. For like acrylic paint, I just like to use all kinds of brands, off brands, brand names. It really, to me, it doesn't matter. There'll be arguments against that. And then just, these are like soft pastels, but little bits and pieces. Use what you have. When you're really using these materials, they're gonna break, they're gonna get paint on them. So that's what's going on here. And these are my favorite Caran d'Ache. They're a little pricey, but worth it. I'm gonna get started and probably speed up the video because it's just easier for me to work. So we're just starting on these 6 that I've went over earlier, and I'm just kind of looking for that return, right? That reconstitution, that renewal, and I'm just doing my thing, There's collage and mixed media, pastels, and acrylic paint, and these works on paper, layered works on paper that involve working with collage and layers of paint. So it's paper and paint, until I determine what's most interesting, right? And this is going to take a little bit because I'm starting over. So it's probably going to take a little while. So these won't be done in this video. But, they've been sitting around, and, sometimes things just percolate. So a lot of times when I want to mix paint, I'll just mix it on a scrap paper, and I'm mixing up a pink there. And I'll just work off of that scrap, and then when I'll use those scraps eventually later in different kinds of ways. So that's just my process. There's many ways to come to the process, and you gotta do what's most interesting for you, because maybe you won't even like it. What I'm trying to say is my process doesn't have to be your process, but I'll show you like the strange things that I do, which can encourage you to like break out of the traditional models, because art making and creativity and creative expression isn't really about like taking a standard or having a plan or creating some kind of normal thing, at least not for me. So I want to encourage you to like go beyond what is there, and if something seems strange or weird, try it out, and it might be the best thing ever, and it might be your thing, and that's where we find style and voice. It's not necessarily in like taking on what everyone else says. It's actually breaking away from it and deciding to go against the grain anyway, and just find what works for you. That's the most important thing to do in art and life. And sometimes that's scary, right? But the more we experiment and the more we allow ourselves to go to places and spaces and express what's like innately calling us in that desire, in that heart, the more we find ourselves in the process. And we'll probably lose ourselves too, because that's all part of the process. And art and life is like, returning from those hard moments, returning from that journey, returning from years of working, returning from maybe making a 100-day project and having new insights, so you can always start from where you are, and that's like the only way you can actually do it. And that's why it's scary sometimes to start, because you have to just start from where you are, and that means acknowledging a lot of things. But here I'm just like reassembling with collage and, painting the next layer and having another experience in this moment. I notice my starts are different, and I've talked about that in the last video in my sketchbooks, but it's just interesting. That's the thing. The more you're working, the more you're going to see for yourself. And of course, learning is important, but it's also like breaking away from the learning and like getting more comfortable what's hidden within the self. When Joseph Campbell said, the cave we fear to enter holds the treasure we seek. And it's really true. That place that's scary is often the place that has the most like energy and vitality in life, but you just gotta like tap into it, and that's exciting because we can always go deeper, from where we are, and it's like an infinite wellspring of creative potential. How cool is that? And it's available for all, so that's what makes it even more interesting, especially if you love abstraction and like finding freedom in that expressive raw moment and mark. So it's just like allowing yourself to have like these experiences, and I could have judged what I did, and I kind of was judging it, but at the same time I was judging it, I was realizing, I can just change this work again, and I can have a new experience. And that's all about what it means to return to ourselves. We can work to let go of what's holding us back, or like loosen the judgment and open our heart and like mind and body and soul and kind of come back around and have a new experience. And it's totally up to us. All right, so that was all about returning to a moment, right? These are new layers. They're not finished. What I'm interested in is letting them rest and then like having another go. Just chuck them on the floor when they're done, let them dry. It's all about like returning to that moment and having a new experience, right? In art and life. And we're always doing that, cycling back around, learning to see again, and opening up to more. Thanks for being here. Consider becoming a subscriber. Just hit subscribe. I will be releasing a class that used to be run on another artist platform. It's called Unleashing Creative Freedom. It's all about expressive mixed media works on paper. If you want to get on my email newsletter to be informed when that class is open, I'll also be sharing it on here to let you know. But there's a free PDF and a link to a private meditation about energy and emotions. And the PDF just has some questions. I believe the PDF is talking about the new year, but you know, whenever we return to ourselves, to our creative work, it's always a new beginning and a new time to start. So we can start a new year in any moment, really. Anyway, thanks for being here, and stay tuned and keep creating.